Got some new fan art here. While you enjoy this awesome fucking fan art, I wanted to mention my new channel, Telltale Science. This coming Tuesday is going to be a video on the Big Bang and what proof we have that it happened. Then, next week, I'm going to be talking about a subject I know you've all wanted to hear about for a long time. Flat Earth. Yes, I'm going to be covering Flat Earth on my science channel, so strap in. It's going to get interesting. I've thought about covering Flat Earth on this channel, but I didn't really feel like it was an appropriate subject for my type of channel. So now I have a platform for that. I'm hoping to have a Flat Earther on a live stream to ask some pointed questions sometime in the near future. So I've got an interesting subject to talk about today. Kolob. What the is Kolob? I ran across a video by a Mormon YouTube channel talking about it, and they were twisting it a little bit to sound less crazy than it is. So I'm gonna set the record straight. Let's get into it.
So the first thing we need to get straight is that we don't believe that Kolob is, I don't know, people think that that's where we think God lives.
Yeah.
That that's his home or that's heaven. But it's not. We believe it's a star. Joseph Smith revealed that much to us through Revelation, but that's kind of all we've got.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's essential to Mormon doctrine. It's not like the Book of Mormon, which is the key of our religion. It's just kind of a fact, I don't.
It's not like when you die, we believe that you have to take a citizenship test to Kolob. It's
for your passport.
What happened in Kolob in 1755? We don't believe
America vetoed.
And it doesn't even literally we haven't even talked about it in general conference since the 1960s, and it's not something that's essential to our beliefs at all.
Well then, nicely downplayed. They're almost making fun of the idea. They say they just believe it's a star, and that's a fact, to quote them. So let's take a closer look at it. Kolob is a star system that's mentioned in a few places by a few people in the Mormon faith and basically nowhere else. So to break down the Mormon holy books, they have a few. It isn't just the Book of Mormon. So back in the 1800s when Joseph Smith was doing his thing, the story goes a door-to-door salesman came knocking on his door with some ancient Egyptian scrolls. Joseph Smith told the others in his little Mormon community about it, and they put their money together and bought the scrolls. Well, Joseph Smith ended up, quote-unquote, translating the Egyptian hieroglyphics into what we now know as the Book of Abraham, even though he didn't know Egyptian. He slides right by that problem by saying that he interpreted the hieroglyphics, not translated them. So basically, he looked at the scrolls, and God told him what they said, or something. Anyways, he drew some pictures of the hieroglyphics after interpreting them, and eventually donated the scrolls to a museum. The museum burned down years later in 1871, and the scrolls were assumed to have burned down with it. A real loss to the world. So many priceless items lost, but we still had the facsimiles that Joseph Smith drew. So in the early 1900s, some Egyptologists looked at the facsimiles, and of course realized that Joseph Smith's quote-unquote interpretation wasn't an accurate translation of them, because translating and interpreting are completely different, at least in Joseph Smith's case. While the Egyptologists did the best they could, there really wasn't much to go on without the context of the other hieroglyphics there to back it up, but they had a record of that type of hieroglyphic used in other places, and it didn't match what he was saying at all. Well, it turns out the scrolls were rediscovered in one of the vault rooms of the New York Metropolitan Museum of Art in 1966. The rediscovery was confirmed by the Mormon Church in November of 1967. So the scrolls were re-examined by Egyptologists. It's pretty long, so I'm not reading the whole thing, but here's a sample. This is what Joseph Smith interpreted. Book of Abraham, chapter 1, verse 1. In the land of the Chaldeans, at the residence of my father, I, Abraham, saw that it was needful for me to obtain another place of residence. And here's what it actually said. Osiris shall be conveyed into the great pool of Khans, and likewise Osiris Hor, justified, born to Tickabit, after his arms have been placed on his heart, and the breathing permit, which Isis made, and has writing on its inside and outside, has been wrapped in royal linen and placed under his left arm near his heart. The rest of the mummy bandages should be wrapped over it. The man for whom this book was copied will breathe forever and ever as the bass of the gods do. So yeah, there's that. Now back to what I was saying about the Book of Abraham. The reason I brought this up in the first place is because the Book of Abraham is the first mention of Kolob. It says, Abraham saw the stars, that they were very great, and that one of them was nearest unto the throne of God. And the name of the great one is Kolob, because it is near unto me, for I am the Lord thy God. I have set this one to govern all those which belong to the same order as that upon which thou standest. So what I'm taking from this verse is that Joseph Smith was saying that God lives close to Kolob. Kolob doesn't really exist outside Mormon lore. If you guys are interested, I decided to give Google Ngram a shot. I don't know if you've heard of this or not, but it basically searches a bunch of books between a certain date range for various words. You can search for Einstein, JavaScript, or any number of other things, and it'll show a graph of its usage in books throughout your chosen time frame. I searched for Kolob, ignoring case, and this is what I found. Noticed how it's mentioned a couple of times in the 1820s and then never again until the mid-1800s. Then a massive spike in what looks like around 1848. You can probably almost extrapolate Mormon population data from this graph. Pretty cool tool. Anyways, now comes the speculation. Is it a star or a planet? Because like I said, it doesn't really exist outside of Mormon lore. There's a big debate in the Mormon community about whether or not it's a planet or a star. But apparently Brigham Young, the second president of the LDS Church, talked about it like it was a planet. A lot of other higher-ups have called it a star. There's just no agreement to be had about it. Let's hear a little more from the Mormons.
Because we believe that God has physical form.
Yeah.
And that means if he has a physical form, he must physically live somewhere. Mm-hmm. And so the idea of Kolob does kind of express that, like, God is living somewhere.
Yeah.
And it makes sense that he lives near a star.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's at least one close to him.
So they were completely full of shit in the beginning. They were claiming that it's completely irrelevant. They downplayed it. That is bullshit. It is relevant to their teachings. They believe it. The dude said it was just a fact a minute ago. It isn't. It's a made-up word for a made-up star or planet or something. And it's just as relevant to them as anything in the Bible is to a Christian. It would be like a Christian talking about Noah's Ark and how it's just a fact that it's on the planet somewhere. But it isn't like a key component to their beliefs or something. Yes, it is. It's a huge part of your beliefs. It's one of the many things that make it so I could never ever be a Mormon. A ridiculous belief in something for which there is no proof. Believing it based on a ridiculous bullshit translation that's been refuted over and over again. I can understand why they'd want to downplay it. It's an embarrassment. They don't want to link themselves to it. Let's watch a little more of this clip.
This also means that we kind of have a doctrine on space. We have a theology about space, which is the coolest thing.
Which is literally the coolest
That is
thing.
very unique, yeah.
I mean, it just adds to the fact that God's creations are numberless, endless, and why would his doctrine only relate to this earth?
Yeah.
You know, why would he not have, I don't know, information on the rest of his creations?
There's life on other planets. Like, the universe is constantly expanding. It's so cool.
It really is.
It's
also a very gutsy thing for a Christian religion to be like, oh yeah, no, life on other planets, God's in charge of those lives.
You have no idea how many times people have told me that I believe in aliens, and I just look at them like, yes, and they stop, and they're like, wait, what?
How do you believe in aliens, brother? Do you believe in dinosaurs too? Yes.
Kind of. I've seen a few bones.
Take a look at how she reacts to the idea that her religion actively believes that there's intelligent life on other planets.
The universe is constantly
just the only
expanding. It's so cool.
It really is.
It's
also a very gutsy thing for a Christian religion to be like, oh yeah, no, life on other planets.
This just drives me nuts. Yes, it is a very gutsy thing for a religion to claim, because it's something they couldn't possibly know. Speaking of which, every now and then when I encounter a Christian and I want to start some shit, I'll ask them if they think we'll ever find alien life at some point. Most of the time they say yes, but either way, next I'll ask them if they think they'd have a copy of the Bible if we did find alien life. Would it be exactly the same as ours? Would they be reading about our culture, or would they have their own stories in their version of the Bible? Would their God's name be the same as what we call God? See, their belief system really isn't that well thought out. So when you start poking holes in it, it just falls apart. Belly buttons come from where the umbilical cord attaches to the person while they're inside the mother. Did Adam and Eve have belly buttons? Spock's blood was green. What color was his earwax? Questions like that. They don't know how to respond, and the ridiculousness of it comes out. Most of us were raised in some form of Christianity, so it all seems so normal to us. But when you take a step back and you listen to yourself explaining it, you realize how insane it sounds. He's a God of love, but he murders thousands of women and children for no good reason. He makes the earth stop spinning for 3 days? It's just insane. I mean, seriously, take a step back and look at this stuff. Some dude in the desert starts telling people he can do tricks, and he says he converts a bunch of water into an alcoholic drink. It's the kind of trick you'd expect from a magician. Anyways, that's all I've got for you. Follow me on all social media. Subscribe to my new channel, Telltale Science, and check out my Discord. I'm on there all the time, and I talk to fans in the voice chat at 9 p.m. Eastern on Sundays and Thursdays. I hope to see you guys there. Links are in the description. Thanks for watching, guys.